Hello and welcome to the NFL Experts Podcast. I'm your host Louis Debe, and today we're going to be recapping Week 5 of the NFL season. Was a week of a lot of big news and big headlines from some very close games. I mean, a lot of teams in losing records. We took a 2-week break and we are back. Dave will be with us on the Wager Show tomorrow and the preview for Week 6 on Thursday. Until then, let's do a rundown. I'll give a little bit of analysis on some of the weekend's games. Cleveland versus Buffalo, the Thursday night game. I mean, Brian Hoyer tearing his ACL is not good for Cleveland, but what is even probably worse is that EJ Manuel is out for 6 weeks for the Buffalo Bills. They're starting Thad Lewis this week. Buffalo dropped that game. And honestly, if Manuel's in there, I think the Bills end up winning this game. Cleveland's now 3-2 and atop the AFC North, but with Brandon Weeden, I think this is where they start heading down. And probably for the best if they want to go get a top quarterback in the draft next year. From what I thought, Weeden looked pretty good, but again, I've seen enough of Weeden already to know he's not the long-term answer in the future of the Cleveland Browns, but they're throwing the football well. Jordan Cameron's probably one of the best tight ends in the league. I mean, I don't know if that was because of Hoyer, but we'll see how he gels with Brandon Weeden throughout the remainder of the season, as there's still 11 games left. So we got a lot of football to play. The Saints beat the Chicago Bears, and the Saints are just moving up the power rankings every single week. They're now 5-0. Just look at the difference between last year and now getting your head coach back with Sean Payton. It's absolutely just tremendous what they've been doing. Running the football, I mean, I think they're getting Pierre Thomas involved, and they're getting Darren Sproles. I think that's key, even in the passing game. Well, this week, Pierre Thomas had 2 touchdowns against the Bears here. The Bears are now on a 2-game slump. They're 3-2, and to me, mainly, I think Jay Cutler's footwork has been sloppy. I feel he hasn't been able to spread the football around as much. He's hanging on to the football longer, and he's just not getting the protection to do that. He's got to get the ball out quicker, and they got to get back to what they were doing so well before, and that's also running the football consistently with Matt Forte, who has been great this season, but I just don't think Chicago is just playing. I mean, they're just not playing good. I mean, they had 2 tough games. They look to bounce back Thursday night against an 0-5 New York Giants, and I'll talk about them right now. My Philadelphia Eagles are now in first place in the NFC East at 2-3. That just shows how terrible that division is. Michael Vick pulled his hamstring in the first half, but Nick Foles came in smoothly, got through big-time touchdowns, showed great poise in the pocket, and ran that no-huddle offense very smoothly. I think they're going to be fine this week against Tampa Bay. I'll talk about that in the recap podcast, but the Eagles' defense, if they're not going to be productive, if they're not going to be able to stop people, then get turnovers, at least. That's why the Patriots' defense has been pretty decent as of late, even though they had minimal personnel that really maximized their talents. I think the Eagles need to do that same thing, and they did with 3 interceptions and 2 forced fumbles. It is exactly the type of game you needed. The Giants are a mess. They don't have an answer. Entree Roll, sorry, you're not going 12-0. You are now going to go 11-0. Not. So the Philadelphia Eagles are 2-3. That just shows how terrible that NFC East is. With that game, Cincinnati beat New England 13-6, and what I thought was going to be a kind of a higher scoring game. I thought the Bengals were going to rebound sloppy offensive performance against Cleveland last week, but another bad game for both teams. But Cincinnati's defense is for real. They're 3-2. They're tied in a 3-way tie for the AFC North between the Browns and the Ravens. I mean, they're in this thing, but again, the quarterback play has not been good. I'm surprised they didn't go after Josh Freeman, who was signed by the Minnesota Vikings. I thought maybe that might put him over the top, a big gunslinger, which is exactly what this offense needs for A.J. Green. I'm just not a big fan of Dalton. I feel like he already reached his ceiling, but hey, Joe Flacco and Matt Ryan took those next steps in their 3rd and 4th year, so I mean, there's still obviously hope for Andy Dalton. I'm not calling it off already for him. So a big one there. They stand at 3-2, but the Patriots are still in a comfortable lead in the AFC East at 4-1. A comfortable record. I'm sorry, because they're only 1 game behind, ahead of the New York Football Jets, who are now 3-2, and I'll talk about them in a little bit. And the Miami Dolphins, who are 3-2. They dropped their game to Baltimore in a close one, 26-23, after missing a 57-yard field goal to tie up the game. I feel like Baltimore's defense is better than this year than it is last year, but their offense is just hot and cold every single week. Flacco really has not been looking all that consistent. Ray Rice had a big-time game this week after last week's questionable only 9 carries on the ground is just unacceptable for the Ravens. But they're in 3-2. They're still in a good position. A lot of people were ruling them out this year to even compete in the AFC. I think this team is still a very good football team, but and the emergence of Marlon Brown has really been a surprising and a good surprise for the Ravens, losing Jacoby Jones to an injury. And I don't even think he's going to get that job back. And then obviously we all know about Anquan Boldin, Dennis Pitt. I'm not going to get into that whole mess for Baltimore, but Miami, I mean, they're going to lose to these elite teams. I think they're a good team, but they're progressing. They still got some pieces they have to put in. They're still gelling as a really new team. But wow, the emergence of Brandon Gibson is probably the most underrated free agent pickup that the Dolphins have. Tannehill's really been tending to him. Honestly, I'm saying he's been his favorite target, and I predicted that in the preseason. So nice job, Lou. Green Bay again continues that streak of beating the Lions at Lambeau, 22-9 domination here. The Lions dropped to 3-2, are still first in the NFC North by a half a game behind. The Packers are behind as they had that bye week, but others to me are still the best team in this division. I think they're going to get going as the season progresses. They're getting Eddie Lacy more and more involved. 97 rushing yards here for him. Randall Cobb, breakout star this season. Obviously, he had a great year last year, but Rodgers is really tending to him. But the football is being spread around. James Jones had another 100 and I believe it was 21 yards and a touchdown for James Jones. His career-long 83-yard touchdown. Rodgers is playing some good football, and that defense is going to lose Clay Matthews though for a month. That's going to be tough. They're going to hope to get more production out of their latest first-round picks in Nick Perry and Dayton Jones. But as for Detroit, turnovers, they got to limit them, and I think that they're still going to be all right. They're a great football team, and wow, Reggie Bush is for real. So they'll look to rebound this week. But, they still stand atop. They beat Chicago, who's right next to them, but due to the tiebreaker, Detroit still stands atop. Green Bay, though, is looking up. And then what a great game. Colts versus the Seahawks. Battle of the two sophomore quarterbacks in Russell Wilson and Andrew Luck, and boy, did both show up terrifically. Andrew Luck gets the best of Russell Wilson. The Colts take it 34-28. Luck is just terrific. This guy is just incredible. He knows how to win football games. He's got that major clutch gene, connecting with T.Y. Hilton for 2 huge touchdowns. Showing mobilization in the pocket, leading them down for a game-winning scoring drive, and then the defense gets a huge interception to end the game. Russell Wilson's not getting enough protection, which is forcing him to scramble around, which obviously is a good thing for Wilson, as he can run the football, very well, but it's not well for, to get comfortable in the pocket, make sure you can deliver throws. It's not really happening. Still putting up 28 points. Seattle, I'm not worried about. They're still 4-1, still a game ahead of the 49ers, who beat the Houston Texans in the Sunday night game, absolutely crushed them 34-3. But this is my problem with the 49ers before I get into the Texans, who are a mess. The 49ers traded Alex Smith. They found their guy in Colin Kaepernick, and based on, he just had that it factor that Alex Smith didn't have. He was more of people like to call him a quote-unquote game manager. Similar stats to what Colin Kaepernick is having this year, which is 135 yards, a touchdown, limits the turnovers, has a good amount of rushing yards. That's exactly what Kaepernick's doing. So you're saying Smith was a game manager. Well, guess what? He's over in Kansas City at 5-0. They beat Tennessee this week 26-17 with Andy Reid. The 49ers are also 3-2, but they're 3-2. They're playing their smash. They're getting back to their smash mouth football, which is a good thing, but they need somewhat of a passing game if they want to be able to keep up with the teams like Seattle and New Orleans and the Packers and the Lions and all these top teams in the NFC and the Philadelphia Eagles. No. If Dave was here right now, he would stop me there. But the 49ers are playing some good football. As for the Houston Texans, they have a great run game. They have a great defense, great receiving core. Guess what? It's Matt Shaw, but you have no better options. You're not going to pull him for TJ Yates. Your best option is still for him to be starting. They're 2-3. They're already a good amount behind the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans, who are 3-2, are ahead of them as well. They got to get going because they looked terrible. Matt Schaub had 3 interceptions, a pick 6. He's just not playing good football, and the 49ers took advantage, and they stand at 3-2. They are tied with the Arizona Cardinals in that division, who are also at 3-2. They beat the Carolina Panthers 22-6. And it really bugged me about the Panthers is, they're 1-3. They have good players. We've always been talking about, yeah, all these other young guys are making the playoffs, and what about Cam Newton? It's not the players, it's the coaching. Ron Rivera needs to be fired. It's Don Shula, not Don Shula. No. Their offensive coordinator Shula needs. I'm not gonna say his first name because I don't know it, but he needs. They just need to get a whole revamped head coaching staff because this team is underachieving extremely. Again, for the third year in a row, they need to get on a hot streak like they did last season, a little bit earlier this year. Get Steve Smith more involved in the passing game. There's no excuses for this football team, and the Cardinals, they took advantage at 22-6. This defense is incredible. They're playing great football, but the offense is a very concerning. Carson Palmer threw 3 picks. It's only 1 late touchdown. He clearly isn't the long-term future in Arizona. Our Cardinals writer for All 32 Access, Jeremy Herr, go check that out, Arizona Cardinals 2013.blogspot.com, posted a great point. They should have went for Josh Freeman too, just like I said. The Bengals, the Cardinals should have got Josh Freeman. I thought that would have been a smooth, great progression for Larry Fitzgerald. He's got the weapons. Him and Rashard Mendenhall are greatly underachieving too. This team's at 3-2, and it's all because of that defense. And they're only a game back of that division. So this team's far from out of it too. Don't count this team out either. They're looking pretty good, and Patrick Peterson is playing MVP type football. Personally, I believe that to be so. St. Louis beat Jacksonville. Need I say more? They stand at 2-3, but they're still. That division is just terrific. So if they want to get going, they got to start winning some football games. But it's a step in the right direction for St. Louis, but they got to be more consistent with it. And Sam Bradford defines inconsistent, and he needs to get going. And they need to get Tavon Austin more involved. They drafted him 8th overall. They moved up to get this guy. Put in certain packages for him, get him going. Because he really has done nothing this year other than that 2 touchdown performance in week 2, I believe it was. So covered all the games except for 3. Denver, Dallas, 99 points scored. Denver takes it 51-48. Thank you, Denver, doing the Eagles a favor, who are now in first in the NFC East. Dallas is 2-3, and Tony Romo ends up doing the Tony Romo. I guess if he had a dance move, it would be a turnover. That's his favorite dessert, and I think it's implanted in his mind that he cannot make mistakes. And he's like, don't mess up, Tony. And guess what? He messed up, threw a costly interception to end the game. Denver runs out the clock, kicks a game-winning field goal to win it. They're 5-0, playing some terrific football. They did show some flaws in this defense, but Peyton Manning is Peyton Manning. He pulled out the win. And what the hell was up with that bootleg? Oh, man, I was facing Peyton Manning in fantasy, and that did not help my cause. I lost by a lot of points, let's just say that. But I'm 3-2, but I'm sure you don't care about my fantasy scoring. Oakland versus San Diego, the Sunday night game. Sunday night game at 11 o'clock. Terrell Pryor is fun to watch. I didn't get to watch the game, obviously. I did not, but Terrell Pryor is making the Oakland Raiders at least a competitive football team who's now 2-3. But that division, it has 2 undefeated football teams, and then they're in third place at 2-3. They're still in this. Terrell Pryor's throwing the football terrifically. To me, he's their future guy. I call him, he's a straight up street baller. He knows how to make plays out of nothing, and he's just playing some great football, throwing the football, showing tremendous progress in the pocket, which was one of his main criticisms at the beginning of the year. He's helping out that run game. Marcel Reese is playing some good football with Darren McFadden being injured. And San Diego just lost a tough game, and both of these teams to me are looking up. But Terrell Pryor, wow, 27 points again. This guy you could just really never count out the Raiders now with Pryor at quarterback compared to Matt Flynn, who should have beat the Redskins. And they could be 3-2 easily. So, last game was yesterday night's football game, the New York Jets versus the Atlanta Falcons. What a game. The Falcons are 1-4. Remember that team that everyone was predicting to win the Super Bowl this year? It's over. Julio Jones reports today, according to ESPN.com, Fox Sports first reported it. Julio Jones likely will be out for the year. Just take that in for a moment. Oh, wow. It's really sad for them. They were going to be great. I feel bad for Tony Gonzalez. But, damn, those Jets... a roller coaster. Geno Smith has one really good game against Tampa Bay. Second, not so good. Pretty awful against Patriots. 3, not bad against the Bills. Horrible against the Titans. And then has the best game of his career so far against the Falcons with 199 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, and showed major clutch gene in that last drive, driving them down the field from the 20, getting them in field goal range to take it. The Jets are 3-2 and 1 game behind the Patriots for the AFC East lead. I don't know about the offense, but Rex Ryan has that defense playing some great football. Muhammad Wilkerson is playing MVP-type football as well. As I mentioned before, Patrick Peterson, so I'll use the same line. But, I mean, that team is just... You can never count them out because of that defense. They're probably one of the best, if not the best, in stopping defense in the NFL. And, wow. And by the way, speaking of run stopping, let me go back to the Colts. What's up with Trent Richardson? I mean, I feel like Cleveland's starting to get the better end of that deal. He's only averaging 2.6 yards per carry, has 2 touchdowns as a Colt, but isn't doing nothing. I mean, I don't understand it. He hasn't been breaking the big plays. I mean, he had a lot of rushes. I believe he had 18. The exact attempts were the exact stats were he had 18 attempts for 56 yards, and he's on my fantasy team. Not enough for that many carries. Just not good enough, and the Colts need to get him going. So that's going to do it for today's NFL Experts podcast, recapping Week 5. We'll be back tomorrow for the Wager Show with me, Dave, and Brendan Harrington of the Real Bills Now blog. Thanks for joining me. Follow me on Twitter at DBSportsTalk. Follow my partner Dave at DaveCrestSports. Thanks for joining us again. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/NFL Experts. Go check out our blog. I just posted my latest power rankings for Week 6 at nflexperts.blogspot.com. Also check out our website, the official NFL Experts partners website, all32access.weebly.com. I launched a new segment on that website. It's called the 10 Points. It's a brand new top 10s list every week of a different subject. Last week it was the top 10 quarterbacks under the age of 25 after 4 weeks. I just wrote that, and this week it'll be the top 10 running backs of the 2011 draft after the quarter mark. So that's going to do it. Again, thank you, and have a great week, and we'll see you tomorrow and Thursday, and the football is rolling. Forget all those other sports. Football's in. I'm out.